Okay. So that's basically leading to the next section, which is the assessment. So the education is great to start a conversation about the how and what's the implication of security and some type of general education about the typical risks. But basically, the assessment is going to be giving the precise business conversation with the executives, right?
Yeah, and I've got an introductory assessment.
Okay.
It's a few talking points, but it's the whole point is to show them that they don't know the answers to some pretty important risk-based questions.
Okay, can you give us like not a precise example, but what type of questions you are using for this initial introduction? Because it's kind of semi-education, probably you can do on a quarterly business review, but it's leading to the bigger assessment. But how you are working on that? Because I think that can be crucial here to lead to the next step.
Yeah, so if they're a little bit, even if they're a little bit skeptical, some of these questions kind of lead into, oh, I do need a real assessment. And so obviously, hey, have you got cyber insurance, or how long have you had cyber insurance? If you ask them in the right way, like you should have already been doing this, that's what keys them into, oh, I'm missing some stuff. So how long have you had cyber insurance? Oh, what
I
systems are you
see.
already protecting with two-factor authentication? So there's a whole series of questions you can ask along those lines. And again, it's how you ask the question that really makes the difference in their mindset. So the education can kind of wrap up with this intermediary questionnaire, but the ultimate end of the education section is, okay, so what's next? What do I do?
And Caleb, like after you have this type of initial, how to say, like little initial assessment, which can be totally informal. So you are asking those questions,
Yes.
like how you are leading to the practical one. Okay, what should be done? What like a risk assessment it look like, or why they should do that, or how much money it would make, or take, or like how you are, because the assessment is the critical component of that, placing the assessment in the right way. So it's not like, yeah, it's a general technical assessment, but it's not like a super high level of security, which probably they don't feel they need. Like it's a kind of fine line, like how you define this IT security assessment, which is a deliverable from an MSP.
Are you asking if how I define it compared to other things that they may be familiar with, or?
Yeah, exactly. Because the problem here is that you can do this little assessment there, and then how you are going to create some type of larger assessment, which is going to be like a risk management or risk assessment, uh, which is going to be a specified service delivery, right? What they are going to purchase or get for free or some way. Uh, Make sure they are deciding that they would like to explore more about this matter, right?
Yeah, so we'll discuss what the different types of assessments are and what you
Okay.
would get out of that. The ultimate goal for them is you're going to get some visualization around what are the best practices that you're not doing yet, and then what can you do to effectively reduce risk other than just the best practices? Because some best practices aren't for some people, right? We can go through, anybody can run a scanner on your network and give you a list of reds, greens, and yellows and say fix all the red stuff first. But that's not a proper way to address risk. Just because something's red technically doesn't mean it's a real risk for your business.
What you're suggesting, like running those assessments for free, or you would like to get paid, or let's say you are putting the number, but you are essentially giving them for free or free for XYZ clients. So what's your take on that? Because it's always a question, right?
Officially, I say you should charge for it. People value what they pay for. There's that age old, it always comes back to that. People value what they pay for. If you give them a free assessment, you can show them a bunch of stuff that they should fix. But if it wasn't worth charging for you, then it's not really worth their time to spend working on.
Mm.
So that's the first part. Now, I will say that if you've got a client that's a hard catch, you might discount heavily or even throw that in for free, because in our experience, you're looking at hours and hours of remediation, which should essentially pay for the labor you put into the assessment.
Yeah, but like that's the question here, I
If
think,
they buy the
Caleb.
stuff.
Yeah, it's probably the intent, right? Because when I have a free assessment, the free assessment like kind of establishing that like somebody has some kind of intention me go through. So it's not just good for me, but it's good for the other party as well, which is great. But like I'm going to be a little bit more conscious about like, yeah, I'm on a sales process right now. The creating a service around it and be more official, it can give like a better understanding of what's the intent here, and that's the result will be remediation. That's obviously there, but I feel because we made many different type of experiments on those assessments, it's I vote for paid as well. I like that better, but yeah, these assessments should be professional, carried, and really visible value outside of the sales type of roadmap.
It has to focus on the business value, not technical value. I mean, you're looking at business risk that's introduced through technical means, and that's really what has to get fixed. And so if you do any free stuff like that introductory verbal assessment, the goal is not to give them the answers or a spreadsheet of what needs to be fixed. The goal is to leave them hanging and show them their need. So yeah, you can give them some teasers, but that's exactly what they are. You're not giving them the good stuff.
That's awesome. And because like my question here on the assessment part is really because that's the pivotal stuff. That's the service. Like I believe that many people screwed up this type of IT security thing or service is a wrong type of assessment. Even the assessment was too easy, too salesy. The assessment was too quick. So I can do it for free, but it should be a little bit more, difficult or whatever. But I'm still cramming this whole thing because I'm not charging for that. So again, that's too salesy. Or I create like a huge list of totally irrelevant stuff, which just seems to be overshooting the client's need. So this assessment seems to be really defining you and how you approach the security, so it defines your services ahead. So I think that's a pivotal thing here, the assessment. If you do it right, you're going to do the other part right. But if you screw up this part, you just don't know why actually these are not taking off. Do you see that? Or
Oh yeah, it's a catch-22, because if you're throwing a bunch of free assessments all over the place, then your tendency is going to be to rock and roll and get through them and not give them the quality and attention that they deserve, which shows to the client. So, and then why would they buy if you're not going to give enough attention to them to give them a quality assessment in the first place? So the whole free assessment thing shoots itself in the foot.
That's pretty good. So